with double weapon. That was a very interesting draft as well.
I was also very surprised at the lack of heavy focus on Grace. Like, it still blows my mind, but we are going to be getting our first Idris of the tournament, as finally it just not banned in the first rotation and grabbed immediately there by Qlash.
Interestingly, first ban going to be the Vox coming out from Dynasty. Not something that you expect to see, but then the Lyra first pick kind of explains it.
Yeah, they didn't want to have to deal with the Vox. You obviously can go Poison Shiv, can do a lot of different things. It's also just not really a pick that was played a ton by the side of Dynasty. They played it once all season long, despite it being the most popular carry in the game throughout the entire regular season. Idris for Qlash, though, I do want to revisit this pickup a bit. This is one of their most frequently played heroes. They played him 11 times in the regular season. Mixed success, as they had, mixed success all season long.
Mercedes was,
there is definitely comfort there.
And Mercedes was known for his Idris. And Idris and Grace,
oh,
that is such
so
a strong combo. So I was wondering why Dynasty did not ban Grace there, because that's really risky. Because you have an Idris that wants to go in if it's a weapon power. Even a CP Idris will want to dive once he gets his stacks and pokes. And then Grace is going to basically heal him up with the Divine Intervention. So now Dynasty has to pick something that counters that type of dive potential. So Sky is normally really good into a Grace, but they can also do Samuel with Lyra and Snowball the early game. That could also work really well for the side of Dynasty here. So Black Feather Samuel could potentially come in, or they could go with Sky. Let's see what Dynasty will end up picking.
Yeah, then they, like you said, they need some kind of anti-dive, because we've gone blue in the face talking about how strong Idris and Grace are as a combo, because you have that big heal to come through once he dives in. So Samuel is going to be, Samuel is typically considered that anti-dive. You kite a lot with the Samuel Lyra, but there's the
We mentioned
this is
dive.
the 2.6 extremely meta composition that was just tearing it up the last couple weeks of Vainglory 8.
I feel like the Qlash composition is like the epitome of what was good at the end of 2.6, what was good at the end of that season. Incredibly powerful dive. This is likely going to be the CP Idris that we've started to see a lot more on the 2.7 patch. Oh, update, sorry. How are we feeling about these compositions? Like, to me, it looks like Qlash has quite an edge here, but the compositions definitely play into one another.
If you just look at compositionally, forget about who's playing what, who's substituting where, just purely compositionally, Qlash just destroyed this draft. They have won this draft cleanly, and as long as they play the way that this composition can be played, they should have a very clean victory.
Yeah, this is my notes about Dynasty, is they tend to throw the draft and give teams a really OP combination and just make their lives a little harder. And if Qlash executes this combo properly, they can easily win this game and snowball it.
All right, well, we'll see whether that can come to pass here as we head on into this second game of this tournament. It's time to head up over to the caster desk and get into the game.
That's right, we are up here at the caster desk. We are hype. I'm here with Denominate, his first live cast here at a championship. How you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty excited, and Qlash has really been one of those teams for me that I've had my eye on all season long. They really have that potential to compete with the best when they bring their A game. But it's going to be about which Qlash are we going to see today.
Oh, that is truth. You bring the truth like nobody else. Qlash, a very fun draft here, and it looks like we're getting loaded into the fold. This is going to be really fun. Kroll coming out with the Grace and the Idris. It kind of threw it for a loop. I mean, we saw the Idris come out with the Grace, and there's power right there. But the Kroll kind of flipped it on its head.
Well, and the Grace is really good into a Kroll, so it's nice that they got the Kroll on the same side. And in this 2.7, we actually have a really interesting shift in meta from the normal weapon lane situation that we've been in. And now, so this is very likely going to be a Crystal Idris in the lane with that kind of tanky weapon, be in your face, annoying nuisance Kroll. There's a lot of potential for this Idris to ramp up that Broken Myth and really take over a fight.
There's a lot of potential, a lot of mobility. It's not the same kind of mobility. You don't have that instantaneous route step. But I'm excited. Looking on the other side, Dynasty. This is a team that I feel like when they come in, they play their A game. They can take down almost any opponent. Do you think they have a draft here where they can do it?
I do think Qlash has the more favorable, easy-to-win draft. I do think if Mowgli is able to really shine here on this Lyra with the Bright Bulwark timing, there is a lot of potential for the game to turn around very quickly for Dynasty.
I think that makes a lot of sense. Good Bright Bulwarks, they're going to be so important. We're going to have some fights starting right off the bat. We are into the fold, and it's going to be Mercedes up in the lane, of course, with that Idris. early on, Hell's Devil playing games with Mowgli. Now, Hell's Devil, he has to prove himself. Mowgli, he's a 3-time European champion. He knows what he's doing here.
Yeah, he absolutely does. And, you know, like we said, these are very interesting drafts on both sides. The Samuel can be very powerful when coming to the lane, applying that siege that a Krull just really can't do.
All right, a little bit of a poke up in the lane, on point connecting. Malice and Verdict, you have to be so careful at this point. Now, Mercedes, he wants to stay in the lane as long as possible, but at this point, moving on the backside, HF Guy's there, he's empowered. Ricumez is in the bush. I don't know if they can actually find the kill. Tricky should be able to get that. Can they find the kill? There you go. Your first blood, a minute and a half into this one. Very, very strong start.
Yeah, really good start for Qlash. They do have the Krull that is a little bit more of a late game hero, but we know that Samuel can scale really out of control. And it was nice to see Qlash be able to turn that around after a really aggressive push coming out of Ricumeza, forcing Mercedes way behind the turn.
Yeah, I think the beautiful thing there was seeing the rotation out of Qlash. A lot of times, if you can catch your opponent off guard, you're 9 times out of 10 you're going to take that fight.
Yeah, you absolutely are, and that Krull engaging from the bush, those shadows empower me, that slow coming through, really allowed him a lot of crowd control, getting that slow and allowing HF Guy to ramp up those the Spectral Sight Smacks. And, you know, he was able to clean up the kill on the end of it. It did go over to Hell's Devil, though, so that will be a little bit faster of a fountain, but a carry did not get that bonus gold.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point as well. Now, it looks like we have a little bit of action here in lane. Tricky, poking on Mercedes, just continuously applying that wrath. He's got the Book of Eulogy, so he can take some damage, but then go ahead and last it and heal himself right back up. Mercedes not having, I mean, he has the book, but he's not able to do so himself. You see 3 players from each team up in this lane right now. Mercedes just on the back foot. They're forcing Hell's Devil. Well, it looked like Hell's Devil was actually going to pour it back. Mercedes so low. Hell's Devil, he might drop here. Tricky wants it. The Holy Nova will dissuade them from going in for the kill. HF Guy doing his best to buy some time. This is the worst situation. You want to port back, but they know you're porting. So now they're going to go into your jungle.
They are going to make a good rotation through the jungle, and Samuel does clean out jungle very fast. Krull is coming down, though. I don't think he's going to have the time to stop anything here, though.
Well, HF Guy, he's on to Ricumeza. Ricumeza low on the energy, but he has that Corrupted Genius. He's going to move back. Mowgli doing his best. Oh, big Spectral Smite! Hell's Devil's in there with that. Can he find the slow? Felt like it might be enough. Ricumeza actually getting out. That Corrupted Genius is actually so strong.
It absolutely is, especially as you get that crystal power ramped up. But man, Qlash is not looking to let up the aggression here, knowing Ricumeza is so low.
Yeah, and why would they? They're moving in. Mowgli has heals, but he is down. He has no more energy. This is forcing Ricumeza back, and this is going to be Hell's Devil and HF Guy taking the backs pretty much for free here.
Yeah, and Qlash is looking really good here. You know, we talked about it at the beginning, that this is a team that when they bring their A game, they can compete with many of these teams that are much higher seeding in this tournament. And this is really a good view of Qlash we're getting here. They're being very aggressive when they need to, and you know, they really haven't lost out on anything.
Yeah, it's really interesting. When this team shows up, it's really hard to tell them apart from any of the top teams that are in the Vainglory. Now, right now, Qlash has a bit of momentum. They're building a small net worth advantage for themselves. We're 4 minutes in here, and a lot of action across the map. Ricumeza and Mowgli holding down that mustache brush. They're forcing Hell's Devil around up into the lane. Now, they know that they have HF Guy alone in the jungle. Let's see what they actually choose to do here.
It does look like Ricumeza is going to stay up here in the lane. Again, Samuel's very good at coming in and forcing that lane pressure, especially against a melee hero. But now that Mercedes has that divergent path unlocked, he does have those ranged attacks, and he's a little bit safer farming now.
I mean, that is a huge advantage for him, right? Like, just getting that range advantage, that's a huge power spike. It'll make it much easier for him to hang out up in that lane. And as far as your prediction of how the lane would work out, is it kind of playing to the way you expected?
I do think Blackfeather and Idris in the first few minutes have a very close early game. I think as that divergent path comes on, Mercedes is going to have a much easier time farming. He's going to be able to force Tricky back just due to that range. But again, Samuel is going to be huge in these team fights. Here we go.
Oh, Shadows empowered. HF Guy, though, he is moving in. There's a lot of damage. Spectral Smite almost dropping Ricumeza, but he stays alive through it. That was a lot of resources committed right there to try and take down HF Guy. Just hanging out in the top brush, though. He's doing an incredible job. Hell's Devil sitting there on that fountain. They have a big advantage just being able to have that fountain when it was forced out of Mowgli.
Yeah, they absolutely do, and the way that the draft ended up working out for Qlash, this is a team that normally runs a very siege-heavy composition, and we're not seeing them do that this game. We're seeing them pull out with this dive.
Big stun! They have the damage and they have the kill. Can they find more, though? The Drifting Dart, Hell's Devil jumps in there. He's going to just apply a little bit of pressure. Ricumeza, look at the chakram damage coming out.
Yeah, this Crystal Idris can do a huge amount of damage, especially onto a Samuel who is not going to build very much defense through any part of this game. He might close out with an Aegis, but you know, again, this is Qlash, a team that's really made their way here by playing siege comps, and they're playing this really heavy dive versus a composition that Dynasty normally would play, and is instead playing the siege kind of more siege composition. So it's kind of interesting to see the teams play each other's game here.
Yeah, I mean, not only that, I mean, but if you also think about it, how we've talked about NA versus EU play styles, you know, North America, everybody says it's aggression, it's early game right here. I'm seeing a lot of that out of Qlash.
We are seeing that a lot out of Qlash for sure, and this is actually one of the things that we've talked about here at the beginning of this tournament, right, when we were getting into everything, is that these Crystal Mages are really starting to make their way into the meta, and Mercilli's on this Idris is looking pretty good so far.
Looking really good now. Tricky just continuing to try and find that farm, get his levels. We know Blackfeather wants to get that level 8. He wants to get that on-point overdriven, and he's getting closer and closer as the seconds tick by here.
Yeah, he's getting closer and closer, but looking over at the CS, we do have a distinct advantage forming already for the side of Qlash. Mercilli's approaching 80 CS to Tricky, just barely over 60 at this point, and that's that 1.5k gold lead we have here.
Yeah, Hell's Devil once again jumping and just being the front line for his team, doing such a great job. HF guy's been hanging out in the lane for quite a while. The flares were coming out of Dynasty, revealing the fact that the Kroll was there. He had to respect it from Hellstar's gonna come out, catches him with the boomerang, but it's blocked off. Tricky, a great job to reposition and get himself backwards there. That was a kill for sure if that stun hits.
Yeah, it was a kill for sure if that stun hit, but Tricky actually burned a lot of his own resources trying to get out. The reflex block as well as a charge of Rose offensive, but Rick Gomez is coming in looking for some damage here.
Yeah, the drifting dark, he's throwing the malice burst. HF guy's there though, he's gonna move in. Dead Man's Rush to jump in, the Benediction, Hell's Devil. He wants to find that Holy Nova, trying to get in the situation. It's a shock, I'm taking him down low. There's your Holy Nova, but that is a nice Rose offensive to dodge it off, and at the end, nobody goes down. That was very aggressive though.
That was a lot of back and forth aggression from both sides, but Tricky really used his kit to his advantage there. He didn't get stunned up by anything due to those charges of Rose offensive. And here we go again. The aggression's down.
Again, they are underneath the turret right here. HF guy trying to make the plays. I don't know if he can find the kill. Tricky though, he finds the on point. The turret has the damage and they found the kill. Dynasty are on the board, potentially looking for more. Rikameza does not have his drifting dark though. That's kind of what really flops him up in these fights.
It definitely is, but now there's a huge opportunity. With Rukumeza so healthy, they could push the lane up, but instead it looks like they're going to rotate down and try to take away about a half rotation out of this Skrull's jungle. So just trying to find a little bit, as it has been Qlash really dominating this game with the aggression so far. And, you know, this is now Dynasty looking to even things up.
I mean, how do you like that? Instead of just keeping up in the lane, applying pressure, maybe getting some chip damage on the turret, they drop down, they take the front half. So it seems like a pretty smart play.
It does seem like a pretty smart play.
Tricky actually going for Mercilli. He's on point. He has the Shimmer Strike. He's right back under the turret. He gets out of there. That was a close call.
That was very close and very well timed. Shimmer Strike out of Mercilli's there is going to get him out of danger, but he's forced to recall, and now we're in a situation where Dynasty is all in the lane again, very, very healthy, and Kroll is not good at clearing out waves.
Lyra Samuel, a combination we've seen so many times. The regeneration is incredibly strong. Hell's Devil jumping in here once again, being that front line for his team. Mercilli's is back from the base. Now, let's just go ahead and clear out these lane minions as fast as possible. And it kind of stalled out Dynasty's aggression. From Hellstar, blocked off. Rikameza, a very nice job.
Yeah, it was a good Crucible coming out of Mowgli there, knowing that his teammate did not have a reflex block available, didn't want to see that Samuel get jumped on off the back of that almost full-length Kroll stun there, which would have been really game-changing, and now it's just both teams kind of returning to some farm here. Samuel staying in the lane. Will they be able to do anything off the back of Humanist?
We'll see if they actually can. You know, my question to you, Denomini, is they're blocked a few of these from Hell's Hearts out of our Kroll here, HF Guy's Kroll. Is this more of Dynasty reacting very well, or is this should he be a little more patient potentially with these ultimates?
It could come out both ways. Now the nice thing about the Kroll is you can use that sword to either bait out or block early.
Right.
For example, the Crucible's down here, but so is this turret, Humanist.
Yeah, turret's gonna go down as Dynasty just a little bit out of position there.
A little bit. They, you know, that turret was very low, and you know, obviously this Idris is able to clear wave very efficiently with those chakrams and the crystal power basic attacks coming through this divergent path. And now Hell's Devil's forced to come here into the lane and try to hold this off.
Yeah, he's doing a very good job. Holy Nova's going to be blocked off there. Tricky landing on point, just trying to get his last hit. Still reaching up every time he gets it. Mercilli's pretty squishy. They don't want to dive onto the turret. Just it doesn't feel like the Malice and Vertus are stacking up a lot of damage. Find intervention, keeps them alive. They block the from Hell's Heart. HF guy, he's in onto the Lyra. Mowgli, though, doing a great job to keep his team alive. Shimmer Strike, and right back out underneath the turret. Can they find the damage? The Chakrams not connecting as well as they would have liked. And at the end, you see this damage spreading out here. Mercilli's, he's doing a good job to apply damage, but at the same time, they're trading at the on-point laning. If Tricky jumps, that is so dangerous. Benediction and HF guys there. Tricky taking a lot of damage. Spectral Spite almost dropping him down here. At the end, they all stay alive.
This has been the story of these fights so far. We're looking at the kills, Humanist. It's only 1-2, but it is not because teams have not been aggressive. Both teams have been really capitalizing on opportunities to push the other in. It's just the fights have been so even, they're getting out where everybody is low, and it's really such a close game here at this point. We're almost 12 minutes in the game. Only 1,000 gold stands between these teams, and a majority of that is the first turret is now down for Dynasty. That is an objective advantage that we have for Qlash.
I mean, there's a lot of survivability, a lot of durability on both of these teams. To me, it almost feels kind of equal when I look at all of the abilities they have. How do you feel about it?
I definitely think that if Qlash is able to get a good hard execution with the Grace and the Kroll, they're able to have a lot of lockdown potential. You know, the same can't be said about the side of Dynasty. But man, will they fight up to this?
Yeah, well, that's going to be going over, secured by Kroll, so a great job by Qlash to grab that gold payout. Now, they're up 2-1, but if you look at the overall net worth, it's really not that huge of a lead. I mean, they've taken a turret, they've gotten a gold miner, but how is this game still so close?
Well, it's just been efficient farming coming out of the side of Dynasty. Good rotations, good ambient gold sharing, because we do obviously have a slight lead from Mercilli's in the lane, and the only gold advantage that we have is that turret and that gold mine, so it just shows how even these teams are right now. It's just been Qlash finding a little bit better of a trade.
Well, another from Hell's Heart blocked off. HF guy moving in, but Mowgli, I mean, we talked about how talented Mowgli is. He's blocked almost every single one of these so far. This is really impressive.
Yeah, and it makes it really easy for Rukameza to commit to damage, but here comes the damage on the
coming
turret.
out. The turret dropping low. Can Qlash defend this? Are they going to jump in for the engage here? Well, this is Dynasty, maybe potentially hiding back. The counter will come out of Qlash, but they're going to drop Mercilli's. He didn't see that damage coming. Now Tricky moving back with a boost. HF guy dropped off, double on point landing. Holy Nova finds 2 stun, but HF guy will be dropping here. It looks like they're going to be able to grab the ace and the turret as well. They don't lose anybody. Dynasty with a massive win.
Yeah, they pick up a massive ace there, which is going to very likely give them the second turret as well as the entire jungle.
Wow.
Out of Qlash. So just like that, a game that was so even is now looking like Dynasty could really take an advantage here very quickly. All right, well, as we go through this team fight, we see Mercilli's just dropped very, very low and taken out of the fight very, very quickly. And Kroll is just not good at the team fight damage when he is left alone. Hell's Devil pulls out a good stun there, but the aggression coming out of Dynasty was able to push through. They find the ace, they find the damage on the turret. And what a clean play there coming out of a huge engagement out of Mowgli.
Very clean play indeed. And like you said, I mean, Hell's Devil, it felt with that Holy Nova like he was disrupting that engagement. Like maybe you're going to lose 1, you're probably not going to lose 2, but the fact that Dynasty know what they can do there is very, very good for them. Tricky, the Rose defensive backwards, gets him out of harm's way. Mowgli even throwing out that arcane passage. They're just kind of disrupting the engagement out of Qlash.
They absolutely are. And like you said, Mowgli's been absolutely amazing at blocking the from Hell's Heart coming out of Kroll. Hell's Devil taking a lot of damage, Humanist.
A lot of damage. This is Tricky, though. He is on to Mercilli's. He's trading. He's got the shotgun, though. Tricky stacking up the damage, and he's able to take him down. Can Dynasty find more? Can they keep Tricky alive? Yes, they can. He's got 1. He's got 2. He's got 3. Tricky is unleashed, and Dynasty have flipped this game on its head.
Yeah, after finding that one really clean fight for them, I definitely think it was a good motivational boost for the side of Dynasty. And just like that, they're going to push this wave up into turret and very likely turn that aggression onto the Kraken as we get into another bit of a replay here. As we can see, Hell's Devil takes a lot of damage very early on in that fight. He's forced back, while the whole time Tricky's on the back line taking down Mercilli's in that 1v1. He's able to clean it up before the Divine Intervention does come through out of Hell's Devil. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, Tricky cleans up an ace for himself.
Oh, that was beautiful to watch. Now, it feels like as we're seeing this game progress right here, that Tricky and Dynasty have a very clear sense of what they need to do in these fights. It's always locking onto Mercedes, locking onto this Idris, taking him down. They're not allowing him to just hang back and apply damage.
Yeah, and that's really attributed to how much damage that Tricky has built for himself. He's going into a 4th offensive item here, and Mercedes is only sitting on a tier 2 armor right now, as well as only has 3 offensive items built. Now with the Kraken marching down the lane, this turret taking so much chip damage, if Dynasty can find a clean fight here, they could find game number 1.
They definitely can. Now moving for the choke point turret is down. Mowgli, Tricky, Riku Meza looking to apply the pressure. Hell's Devil, he's in trying to be that strong front side for his team. A double on point landing coming out of Tricky. They're trying to hang back but apply damage at the same time. That's the front Hell's card. Is it going to come back and connect? No! They're dropping HF guy low. Hell's Devil just forced to use Divine Intervention to keep his teammates alive. The Kraken's still pretty healthy. Are Dynasty going to hang around and try to end this one here? It's dropping low. Hell's Devil's still alive. Vercilli's HF guy doing their best. And with the Kraken dropping, it looks like this should be Dynasty's cue to get out of here. They're hanging around. It looks like that's going to be the disengage.
Yeah, it is going to be a good Imperial Sigil on all 3 members to help get that speed boost, health top off their health. They're going to rotate now. Took a little bit out of the jungle of Qlash. And just like that, a game that was looking really heavily in favor of Qlash off of just a few team fights. That is now Dynasty forcing Qlash all the way into a quarter health turret off of 1 Kraken push, Humanist. And, you know, this has really been Dynasty proving that they are just a little bit tighter knit when it comes to the team fights here. And again, we have a sub on both teams, but Tricky, you know, very high-skilled player filling in for a position that he is his main position.
Absolutely.
It's just looking a little better for Dynasty right now.
I mean, not only that, you do have the captain Mowgli here. You know, he is the leader of this team. Whether Tricky is the most vocal, at the end of the day, they have a lot of great input into these team fights, when to engage, what target to go on, and they're just a little more decisive in this fight, playing out very well for them here.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, like we mentioned at the beginning of this, is that, you know, when Tricky does play on this team, it is a little less of the team communication. It is more of him kind of taking over that shout-calling role. And these past couple fights have looked absolutely great for that. I mean, it's been Tricky. Very committed to a fight, finding damage on Mercilli's, and they're able to clean up a very clean ace off the back of it. It's only 1 more fight for Dynasty. We could see them close out this game.
They could definitely close this game out. Now, as I was looking on that last engagement, Tricky, he's on point, just kind of pokes, and 3 breaking point stacks, just within a half of a second. It is incredible how fast he is stacking up breaking points. Now, if he can actually get on target, he could blow one of these Qlash members. Qlash definitely have the potential to do the same in reverse. I mean, it's all about, can they find that stun? Like HF guy, I think he's thrown some pretty nice stuns. He was out of vision. It's just the reaction speed coming out of Mowgli's been insane.
Well, Mowgli's blocked a couple point blank from Hell's Hearts too, and we know how difficult that can be to do. And Tricky, with a good escape over the wall here, is able to clean up this farm, and that is going to be now an Eve of Harvest completed for this Samuel Rukumeza, who now has a reflex block of his own. Dynasty Gaming, all infused here, really could look to find a fight, and Rikumeza's going to get it down.
They block another from Hell's Heart. Can they find the fight? The Bright Bulwark as down. They want to find the fight here. Qlash has to win this fight. The on point. Tricky's there. He's got breaking point stacks building up. They're able to take down Vercilli's. Now the rest of Qlash has to make a miracle play. Hell's Devil and HF guy doing their best. They have the Spectral Smite stacks. Oh! HF guy! He's got a double! Dead Man's Russian! He's on to Rikumeza! HF guy! Can he do it? He's on a nice edge! He needed the miracle! They're making the plays! He's waiting for the cooldowns moving forward! Dead Man's Rush on the target! Chops him down! They've done it! Qlash finds the ace!
Qlash finds the ace, and with Kroll being the only one alive, he can go ahead and start up this Kraken pretty easily. Only 10 seconds till Mercilli's is back on the fold. There is some good vision down here by Mowgli. Getting into this replay, though, we'll have to look at this fight. The good Hell's Heart block by Mowgli. Rikumeza does throw out the Oblivion. It does miss. The good Divine Intervention comes through, gets Mercilli's up as Tricky is dropped very low. The double Divine Intervention comes through, but it's just enough for Hell's Devil and HF Guy to find the damage, to clean up the kills, and then off the back of that play, it is Hell's Devil chasing down Rikumeza for the ace.
You know, I mentioned Tricky's breaking point. Oh, we're gonna have a contested Kraken. That actually goes to Qlash. They find the stun onto Mowgli. Mowgli, he doesn't have his ultimate. Mowgli can't get out of here. They should find the kill. War Trancy's just inching out. Shimmer Strike Forward off the top of that. Finds the mobility, finds the kill. Now Qlash have a Kraken. They have the advantage. They have some momentum here building up to dominate. What can they achieve off of this push?
They can achieve a huge amount off this push as they're taking this turret down before the Kraken's even here. Tricky is coming in.
Tricky's in there. He is on the target. They disrupted him. Tricky though, he's gone too deep. Tricky is down. Qlash has found another kill. They can probably take Recompense down. This is a Samuel. He's not incredibly mobile. A double kill. Mercedes has got it. The Broken Myth building up, and Qlash are moving in. 40 seconds, 35 seconds on Recompense. Choke point turret is down. Dynasty, what's happening?
This Kraken is still very, very healthy, and Tricky and Rikumeza are down for another 20 and 25 seconds respectively. One turret now stands between Qlash
They're
and Victor
going to close this game out! Oh my goodness! I don't know if Dynasty imploded or if Qlash just put on their Superman capes and came through in a matter of minutes, maybe a minute and a half, when it felt like they were on their back foot with one chance to win.